Strong aftershocks interrupts rescue operations in Porac, Pampanga. Rescuers claim there are no more bodies trapped inside the rubble of a collapsed Chuzon supermarket in Porac. PHIVOLCS closely monitors the Mayon volcano in the wake of the Eastern Samar earthquake. And the Department of Health says the public's trust on the immunization program of the government is now back on track. Good evening. Rescue operations in Porac, Pampanga were put on hold this morning. Grace Casin tells us what.
Another strong earthquake was felt by various rescue groups while doing the search and rescue operation at Chuzon Supermarket in Porac, Pampanga around 2 a.m. today. According to the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology or PHIVOLCS, the incident was an aftershock that registered a 4.5 magnitude on the Richter scale. Castillejos in Zambales was detected to be the center of the aftershock. Rescuers immediately went out the collapsed Chuzon Supermarket.
So, nagsa-search kami doon, nagbubutas ng flooring, baka sakali na may makita pa sa ilalim. So, biglang lumindol. So, actually, hindi namin alam na lindol yun at first. Kasi kala namin yung crane nga lang na nag-malfunction lang. So, nung na-observe namin na pati yung poste is gumagalaw na, so, nag-isip na kami na biglang lumakas. So, yun na, tumakbo na kami palabas.
Search and rescue operations in the area stopped for 7 hours.
Kaming dalawa yung kasama kong team leader, ang akala namin yung dalawang kasama namin na andun sa loob, hindi sila nakalabas kaya pumunta kami doon, tinignan, pero nakalabas pala sila.
Despite the incident, the rescuers assure that the search and rescue operations will not be permanently stopped to rescue those might still be trapped under the collapsed building.
So napakahirap kasi actually habang ginagawa namin yung trabaho namin dyan, titingnan namin yung mga poste, yung mga wall, then yung water tank. Baka biglang pag nagkaroon ng lindol, baka ito yung biglang muwagsak sa amin. So yun, buwis-buhay talaga yung si search and rescue namin din yan.
According to Porac, Pampanga Mayor Condralito de la Cruz, the search and rescue operations may last for several days.
Sana pinakamatagal na dapat bukas kung pwede ngayon, maano natin para matigil na yung natin, makakonsentrate naman kami sa mga ibang problema.
Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Rescue teams deployed around the collapsed supermarket in Porac, Pampanga claim there are no more bodies trapped under the building following the 6.1 magnitude earthquake that jolted Luzon last Monday. However, the rescuers say they will still continue their operations hoping to find more survivors. Joan Nano explains why.
The Pampanga Provincial Police said there are no more bodies trapped under the rubbles of the collapsed 4-story Chuzon Supermarket in Porac, Pampanga as of 6:45 this morning. Pampanga Provincial Police Director Jean Fajardo said today that according to the rescuers, there are no more signs of life or even a cadaver detected underneath the collapsed building. With the use of various life detector equipment and canine dogs, rescuers said there are no more bodies trapped under the building except an amputated leg that belongs to one of the survivors in the accident.
So as of 6:45 today, the rescuer po ay sinasabing wala na po tayong tao dito po sa loob, either patay or buhay po.
Despite this, the rescuers will continue the search and rescue operations, hoping there are still possible survivors.
Hindi pa rin po kami i-stop ng aming search and rescue operation because kung maalala niyo po dun sa mga gumuho din po ng mga building sa ibang bahagi po ng ating bansa ay may mga possibility pa rin po na after 3-5 days po ay may mare-recover.
The Department of Public Works and Highways is conducting initial clearing operations to remove big blocks of debris out of the collapsed building. After this, the Bureau of Fire Protection, the Philippine National Police or PNP, and other provincial rescue teams will conduct an assessment for possible downgrading of the situation to search and retrieval operations. Meanwhile, Porac, Pampanga Mayor Condralito de la Cruz confirmed earlier they have already found the Chuzon Supermarket employee that was reported missing yesterday. They found out that the said individual was already home with his family and was not able to immediately inform the authorities. But the Pampanga PNP clarified that the said person is not an employee of the supermarket. It just so happened that prior to the earthquake, he told her wife that he was to go to Chuzon supermarket to buy something but ended up visiting the relatives in Arayat, Pampanga. Based on the latest data released by the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council or NDRRMC on Tuesday, 16 people were killed after Monday's quake. Of the 16 reported fatalities, 12 were from Porac, 2 from Lubao, and 1 from Angeles, Pampanga. 1 fatality was also reported in San Marcelino, Zambales. The NDRRMC also said that 81 people were injured and 14 remain missing. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Porac, Pampanga.
The Philippine National Police Criminal Investigation and Detection Group begins its investigation on the collapsed Chuzon supermarket. Yesterday, the PNP summoned the supermarket owner. Leia Ilagan tells us why.
The Philippine National Police Criminal Investigation and Detection Group or PNP-CIDG now have in their possession Chuzon Supermarket Porac Pampanga's branch, floor plan, building plan, and list of employees. The Chuzon Supermarket branch collapsed when a 6.1 magnitude earthquake struck Pampanga last Monday. CIDG Region 3 Chief Police Colonel Chris Abrahano said they will study the documents to determine whether the building is standard or not. Abrahano added they will interview witnesses, experts, and other government agencies to determine whether the construction of the supermarket building underwent legal process.
Subject pa ng investigation yan dahil kailangan natin tulong ng building officials yan at ng DPWH na siya naman natasan na mag-enforce ng ating building code.
Abrahano added they will expedite the investigation to pinpoint who is responsible for the substandard establishments and hold them liable.
As soon as possible, as soon as maayos din yung mga technical inspection, yun nga, kasama yung DPWH at ma-interview natin yung mga ibang witnesses at ma-check yung mga papeles na binigyan nila sa amin. Para kung mayroong mga lapses na makita, mabigyan agad ng justisya yung mga biktima natin.
The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council or NDRRMC earlier said that based on DPWH's reports, the building is substandard.
Ang sinabi yung substandard materials, sinugot ni Secretary Villar yun kahapon. Pero ang sabi nga, ipapatawag muna yung mga yung may-ari para mag-centralize.
Posadas confirmed that the operation of other Chuzon supermarket branches have been stopped since yesterday. The CIDG and the DPWH also aim to conduct investigation on the supermarket's other branches. Leia Ilagan, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
A former president of the Association of Structural Engineers of the Philippines suggests strict implementation of the National Building Code of the Philippines to the government. Meanwhile, the Department of Public Works and Highways assures they will implement infra projects that are seismic rated. Nel Maribohok tells us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte has ordered the temporary closure of the branches of Chuzon Supermarket. This after its Porac Pampanga branch collapsed when a strong earthquake hit the province last Monday. The president wants to look into the details of cause of the incident.
It would be good at this time to just give them the advice to stop, cease and desist doing business until such time that the clearance is given by government, whether the city engineer or whoever is competent to review the planning and inquire into what kind of materials, whether they were made or applied in right sizes or was there any shortcut made.
Interior Secretary Eduardo Año has also reported to the president that what they initially discovered is the problem with the structural design of the Chuzon Supermarket Porac Pampanga branch. Instead of the standard 2 floors, the supermarket has 4 floors. According to the former president of the Association of Structural Engineers of the Philippines, Engineer Danny Domingo, the Philippines has existing policies to prevent any disasters. Domingo also said that the country may not need to adopt any technology like that of Japan's just to attain earthquake resilience. He emphasized that the only problem in the Philippines is implementation.
It's just a matter of applying what we have right now. The existing code, I believe, would be enough, no? To make sure that the buildings are okay, no? So, hindi naman kailangan ganun ka-high-tech. We have the right tool to make sure that our buildings will withstand the magnitude 8 earthquake, no? Nasa ano lang, proper implementation.
According to Domingo, it's high time for the government to look into the old structures in Metro Manila.
No, kasi problema, may mga building na tayo na napakatagal na, no? Mga 60s, no, 70s, no, sa Manila, and I believe this should be evaluated, no.
It can be noted that the issue on substandard or low-quality steel products used in construction in the country had also been raised by former Senator Nikki Cosseteng. The Senate even investigated the issue last year.
Ang punto dyan ay mga bakal na ginagamit ngayon according to the study of Mr. Morales and sa mga pananaliksik niya galing sa Italy, galing sa New Zealand, galing sa Portugal, ay itong uri ng bakal na ginagawa sa Pilipinas, no, ay hindi karapat-dapat gamitin sa high-rise buildings.
Amid the issues, the Department of Public Works and Highways or DPWH guarantees the structural integrity of the projects under the Build program. According to Build Committee Head Ana May Lamentillo, they will make sure these projects are seismic rated. DPWH Secretary Mark Villar also deputized his officials to conduct an assessment on the structural integrity of ongoing projects. Nel Maribuho, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
In other news, the Department of Health reports better public trust in the government's immunization program. DOH also plans to increase the immunization coverage in the country this year. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
In an interview with Health Secretary Francisco Duque III in UNTV program Get It Straight with Daniel Razon this morning, he said the public's trust in the government's immunization has been restored. He added that the immunization coverage in the country has increased.
36% nga lang ang naging coverage ng atin measles vaccination sa loob ng 8 buwan na araw-araw po namin itinutulak, isinusulong ang pagbabakuna, mukhang nanumbalik na ang tiwala ng ating mga nanay, ating mga kababayan sa integridad ng ating immunization program.
Secretary Duque also reported that the 36% immunization coverage for the past months is low. The Department of Health or DOH targets to reach 95% immunization coverage to prevent the occurrence of outbreaks in the country such as measles. The DOH also plans to extend its immunization coverage in schools when classes start in June, with the aim to immunize 8 million school children to prevent the spread of any communicable and deadly diseases. The health chief hopes that the public will patronize the current administration's immunization program, which includes vaccines against measles, diphtheria, tuberculosis, hepatitis, and polio. Secretary Duque assures these are all proven safe to use to protect the public. The health secretary also emphasized that the accusations against him in connection with the implementation of the dengue vaccine immunization program are baseless.
Pangulong Duterte mismo nagsabi, huwag kang mag-alala. Kasi nga sabi ko, sir, paano ako makakatrabaho kung ganitong isang kapwa ko opisyal ng ating administrasyon? Ako'y ina-assail, ako'y sinisira, ginigiba ako, pati yung departamento ko, ginigiba, sinisiraan, lahat ng programa na apektuhan ng amin kakayahan at amin kredibilidad. Bakit yung ganon, Mr. President? Sabi niya, no, don't worry, wala ka dyan. Zero. I'm a lawyer, I should know. Sabi niya, you have nothing to worry.
The DOH is assigned to create the implementing rules and regulations of the Universal Healthcare or UHC law. The Health Department targets to complete them before the President's State of the Nation address in July for the UHC's clearer and proper implementation. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Experts are on high hopes that the pilot vaccination program against malaria in Malawi would be a success. Nina Armilio tells us why.
This is a massive success of the research community. producing a vaccine against the parasite, a vaccine against the malaria.
Malawi started a historical malaria vaccination pilot program with the first ever vaccine made against one of the world's global killers. Known as RTSS, this vaccine took 30 years to be developed, but the scientific community has been looking for a vaccine against the disease for the past century. Malaria is still one of the world's greatest killers, with 435,000 people dying of the disease each year, according to the World Health Organization, mostly in Africa, where malaria kills more than 250,000 children yearly and with nearly 200 million cases each year. In Malawi alone, there are about 6 million cases each year, with 3,000 deaths, according to the authorities. The vaccine has passed through clinical trials, and after Malawi, it will be used in Ghana and Kenya in the coming weeks. The World Health Organization is aiming at having 360,000 children up to 2 years old being vaccinated each year over the 3 countries for a period of 5 years, with a total of about 1.5 to 2 million children vaccinated in areas where there is moderate to high malaria transmission. But according to the World Health Organization, the vaccine is imperfect. In clinical trials, it was found to prevent about 4 out of 10 malaria cases, including 3 out of 10 cases of life-threatening severe malaria and 6 out of 10 cases of severe malaria anemia, which is the most frequent reason children die from malaria. But the UN Health Agency insisted that when it comes to malaria, given the harshness of the disease, every means has to be used.
This is a really exciting vaccine that starts being deployed today.
They are also hopeful newer vaccines will be developed following this first one. Nina Armilio, UNTV, News and Rescue.
The country's earthquake monitoring agency records tens of thousands of earthquake events since the 1900s. Ray Pelayo explains why.
A magnitude 6.1 earthquake was recorded last April 22 at 5:11 p.m. in Castillejos, Zambales. A number of structures were damaged, even in neighboring provinces including Chuzon supermarket in Porac, Pampanga, wherein death toll has reached 5. The shaking reached Metro Manila including Quezon City, wherein intensity 5 was felt. It was evidently shown live during a UNTV news broadcast, Ito ang Balita. And the situation of the leaning structure of Emilio Aguinaldo College has gotten worse. The following day, a magnitude 6.5 earthquake jolted San Julian, Eastern Samar. Intensity 6 was felt in the town, in Maydolong, and in Borongan City in the same province. Intensity 5 was felt in Tacloban City, Catbalogan City, Samar, General MacArthur, Salcedo, and Giwan in Eastern Samar. Same as in Naval, Biliran, Catarman, Northern Samar, Palo, Babatngon, and Pastrana, Leyte, Lawaan, and Girpolos, Eastern Samar. This CCTV footage of a market in Catbalogan shows that the quake started at 1:35 p.m. while customers were inside. People ran out of the grocery store while items fell due to the strong shaking and the lights turned off. Some employees sought a safer place and waited until the shaking stopped. The quake lasted for about a minute, then the employees went outside after the tremor. Some stores were also damaged and items fell on the ground. A bridge in Casoroy, San Julian was also found to have cracks. Residents in Tacloban City immediately ran to the street during the quake. Intensity 5 felt in the city left damages to a lot of structures, walls, and glasses. Residents ran away from the coast because they were afraid a tsunami might occur. Based on the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology or PHIVOLCS record, there were 18 moderate onshore earthquakes in the vicinity of Pampanga and Zambales from 1928 to 1993 with magnitude 5.1 to 5.8. Samar Island also recorded 24 onshore moderate quake events from 1907 to 2016 with magnitude 5 to magnitude 6.8. In 2012, a magnitude 7.6 quake was recorded offshore on the eastern side of Samar Island. Intensity 7 was felt in Giwan, Oras, Sulat, and Borongan City in eastern Samar. In 1995 and 1996, magnitude 7 quake was also recorded in the area. PHIVOC said that fault lines in the country are segmentized. The institute explained that magnitude is the energy released by the epicenter, while the shaking felt in the nearby areas is called intensity.
Na to, tong it's East Zambales fault. Etong linya na to, tong tatlo na to, talagang interconnected yung mga yan. Pero hindi siya connected dito sa Valley Fault System. Ito yung Valley Fault System natin, kung saan manggaling yung the big one na pinaghahandaan natin, yung magnitude 7.2. So makikita natin, wala silang connection, no? Malayo.
Aside from fault lines, trenches also cause movements like the Philippine Trench, wherein the epicenter of San Julian quake originated due to subduction.
So kung dito yung earthquake mo, ang San Julian na andito sa ibabaw. So kaya ang sinasabi nating epicenter ay San Julian. Pero ang nagdulot or nag-generate ng earthquake natin is yung Philippine Trench, na kung saan pumapailalim siya sa ilalim ng Pilipinas.
PHIVOC has recorded more than 60,000 quakes in the country since 1907 from magnitude 1 and up, felt and unfelt. The agency has 101 seismic stations around the country that monitor more than 100 fault lines. Ray Pelayo, UNTV, News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Following the 6.1 magnitude earthquake that hit central Luzon and Metro Manila, the owners and contractors of quake-damaged buildings may face criminal and civil cases for violating the National Building Code of the Philippines. April Senedoza will tell us why.
Authorities have reported the death toll following the earthquake that hit Luzon on Monday has reached 16. Of the 16, 5 were victims of the collapsed Chuzon supermarket in Porac, Pampanga. As a result, President Rodrigo Duterte has ordered the investigation and filing of charges against the supermarket owner. According to the Philippine National Police, the owner presented himself to the Porac police station. In an interview, Attorney Glenn Subia said charges under civil law may be filed against the owner and the contractor of a collapsed building.
Kung ang owner kasi ay siya nag-supply ng materials o kaya siya nag-alter ng design, siya magiging liable. Pero kung hindi niya ginalaw ang plano, ng design, at ang nagkamali ay ang engineers o yung arkitekto na nag-design nun, sila ang mananagot. So depende kung nasaan yung mali o saan nagkaroon ng problema.
If a civil case is filed against someone, Subia said they will not be imprisoned but will only pay for the cost of damages. The owner and the contractor of a collapsed building will also be held liable for violating Presidential Decree 1096 or the National Building Code of the Philippines. As defined in the code, buildings must not collapse when a magnitude 8 earthquake strikes.
Kung nag-collapse ka sa 6, may liability ang designer doon.
Architects have a 15-year warranty for the building. If the building collapsed within the said period due to inferior design and wrong computation, the architects will have a liability and they will also pay for the cost of damages. Subia, who was also an engineer and was once a chairman of a hospital construction in Malabon, maintained the owner of Chuzon supermarket must face charges.
Hindi pwedeng wala kasi Pilipinas palaging nakakalimutan eh. You can file violation ng PD na yun na may imprisonment na 2 years for violation of the code.
On the other hand, Porac Mayor Carlene de la Cruz earlier said the municipal engineer who approved the building permit of the supermarket has retired. The supermarket was constructed in 2014. The mayor insisted Chuzon supermarket complied with all the requirements of the building code. Meanwhile, Subia further said if the Chuzon supermarket owner was proven to commit negligence on the matter, reckless imprudence resulting in physical injuries or homicide can be filed against the owner. The penalty of such case will take up to over 2 years.
Ang dinimanda mo kriminal at napatunayan guilty, so ang sentensya sa kanya dyan ay 20,000 or imprisonment of 2 years or both. Plus pa yung damages, yung cost ng building na nag-collapse, yung mga na-injure, yung mga namatay, kasama lahat yun.
April Senedoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, is closely monitoring Albay after the quake felt yesterday in some areas in the Bicol region. Alan Manansala will tell us why.
Jeffrey Duguillo from Castilla, Sorsogon, captured how an earthquake shook a cell phone accessories store. Here, you will see how the items inside his store were rocked. According to the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PBOX, the tremor felt in Sorsogon and Masbate was intensity 4, while intensity 3 was experienced in Albay, Catanduanes, and other towns of Camarines Sur. According to Albay Public Safety and Emergency Management Office Chief Cedric Daep, there was no damage reported in the province of Albay following the tectonic earthquake.
Kahapon kasi 6.2 elevated to 6.5 sa Samar, pero sa Legazpi, intensity 3 lang after ng evaluation. So pag sinabi mong intensity 3, ibig sabihin, non-destructive, walang expected na damage.
There were also no reported damages in the provinces of Sorsogon and Camarines Sur. Dr. Ed Laguerta, the resident volcanologist of PBOX in Albay, explained they have not yet seen any effects on Mayon volcano after the tremor happened in some parts of Bicol. Despite this, Laguerta said they were closely monitoring the volcano.
Kaya titingnan natin kung may additional ba na paggalaw sa ilalim ng Mayon pagkatapos ng lindol. At makikita din natin yan sa mga instrumento natin na nakalagay dyan. Sa gas output, sa tilt indications, sa mga lindol na marirecord natin kung may pagbabago ba sa ikikilos ng Mayon after nung magnitude 6.5 sa parte ng Samar.
The Bicol provincial government reminds Bicolanos to stay alert due to the possible movement of the ground which may be caused by Mount Mayon. Alan Manansala, UNTV, News and Rescue, Bicol.
The Metropolitan Waterworks and Sewerage System, or MWSS, sanctioned private water concessionaire Manila Water over the water shortage experienced by its customers in Metro Manila and Rizal last month. According to the MWSS board, Manila Water violated its concession agreement when it failed to provide 24-hour water service. Manila Water has fined 1.13 billion pesos in total. 600 million pesos of the said amount will be set aside for the development of a medium to long-term water source for the East Zone, while the remaining 534 million pesos will be refunded to affected customers. In a statement, Manila Water says it will abide by the decision of the MWSS board, while the company holds themselves accountable for its inability to provide uninterrupted water service. It insisted they are the root cause of the water shortage. President Rodrigo Duterte has chastised Canada for failing to take action on the garbage it exported to the country years ago. Mirasol Abogodil will tell us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte berated Canada on Tuesday in a long-running dispute over waste exported to the country, threatening to sail it back to Canada.
Yung basura ng Canada, I want a boat prepared. I'll give a warning to Canada maybe next week that they better pull that thing out, or I will set sail doon sa Canada. Ibuhos ko yung basura nila doon.
Duterte said he would no longer allow Canada to turn the Philippines into a dump site, and also threatened to declare war against Canada over the issue.
Why natin ang Canada? Will declare war against them. Kaya man natin yan sila. Sa uli ko talaga. Tingnan mo. Ikarga mo yan doon sa barko. Load it, the containers to a ship, and advise Canada. I will advise Canada that your garbage is on the way. Prepare a grand reception. Eat it if you want to.
Environmental group Eco Waste Coalition urged Canada to act swiftly on President Rodrigo Duterte's ultimatum. The environmental organization asked Canada to announce a definite date when it would get its garbage back. EcoWaste also asked the Duterte administration to outlaw foreign waste importation and ratify the Basel Ban Amendment, which bans the transboundary movements of hazardous wastes from developed to developing countries. From 2013 to 2014, a total of 103 container vans from Canada reportedly arrived in batches at the Port of Manila. The garbage was initially declared to contain only plastic scraps. However, it was found to have non-recyclable plastics, household wastes, and used adult diapers. During his visit to the Philippines to attend the Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summit in 2017, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau vowed to cooperate with the Philippine government in resolving the shipment of tons of garbage. Trudeau, however, said the Philippine and Canadian governments need to settle issues including who will pay for the shipment of the illegal trash to the country. Mirasol Abugadil, UNTV, News and Rescue.
The Joint Security Control Conference in Zamboanga City reminds residents on restrictions in connection with the May 2019 elections. Dante Amento will tell us why.
The Philippines is just over 2 weeks away from the May 13 midterm polls. With this, the Joint Security Control Conference in Zamboanga City released some of the policies they have agreed upon. Based on the policies, giving of pamphlets, water, food, transportation allowance and other aid to voters is prohibited before and during the election period. Whoever is caught violating such policy will be detained until the voting period ends. According to Attorney John Christian Babiera of the Commission on Elections or COMELEC Zamboanga City, the policies were made in 2016.
We have decided to make it a policy or directive to detain liners on election day, or those persons distributing campaign materials on election day. We will be detaining them until the end of the voting hours.
The Philippine National Police and the Armed Forces of the Philippines will spearhead the apprehension of individuals found violating the policies. The policies will be spread to the 554 clustered precincts in the city.
So, el daton policies ko ng mga liners, those caught in flagrante delicto or caught in the act of giving. So, amo el daton policy ko nakel.
Aside from this, COMELEC also reminded that campaigning is banned on May 12. A liquor ban is also be in effect 1 day before and on the election day. Any candidate is also prohibited to appear as a guest in any program which has a theme of public service. The Joint Security Control Conference in Zamboanga City will hold a meeting on April 30 for the finalization of election procedures and other important matters. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue, Zamboanga City.
The Department of Health encourages people who experience stressful incidents to undergo psychological debriefing. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
People not only suffer from physical injuries when a calamity or disaster hits, but emotional and mental stress brought about by calamities or disasters affect a person more, Health Secretary Francisco Duque III said. The Health Secretary explains that post-traumatic stress disorder can be acquired by a person when he or she doesn't undergo psychological debriefing. The DOH and the Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD have been conducting psychological debriefing since yesterday in Porac, Pampanga, which was hit by a 6.1 magnitude earthquake last Monday. Psychological debriefing is a way to help a person forget and understand why a certain horrible and sorrowful situation happens. Health Secretary Francisco Duque III added that a person's condition may get worse when he or she is not guided and assisted by a social worker or a barangay health worker for psychological debriefing.
Pwedeng humantong sa anxiety attack or panic yung mga taong nakaranas ng malubhang takot doon habang nangyayari yung lindol minsan di sila nakakatulog matapos yun. Yung post-traumatic trauma o disorder. So meron po tayong solution dyan. Ito yung psychosocial debriefing.
When a person doesn't get well after psychological debriefing, the victim has to go through a therapy session or psychiatric appointment to prevent him or her from suffering depression.
Pwede rin pumunta sa psychiatrist or sa psychologist para nang sa ganun ay maintindihan kung bakit yung nangyari sa kanya, nangyari. At minsan, nakakatulong yon kung mas naintindihan kung bakit ba nagkaganon.
The DOH advises a person who had just experienced a traumatic scenario for them to move on and prevent intense emotional and mental disorders which may also cause suicidal attempts.
Kinakailangan din ang tao mismo ay subukan niyang kalimutan na yan at maging busy doon sa kanyang trabaho, sa kanyang ginagawa at hindi yung mayat-maya yun ang binabalikan ng kanyang isip.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Meanwhile, operations in Clark International Airport are back to normal today after some of its parts were slightly damaged by Monday's earthquake. Leslie Hudient will tell us why.
The management of Clark International Airport Corporation declared today that the airport is safe to use again after the 6.1 magnitude earthquake hit Pampanga on Monday. The airport can accommodate around 10 flights with 8 international flights and 2 domestic flights. Flight testing was conducted earlier to ensure that the runways are safe. At 4 in the afternoon, the operations resumed. They temporarily replaced the airport's ceiling that gave in with net. The floors, glass doors, and lightings were also fixed. Check-in counters and scanners also began operating again. Equipment, flight information systems, and CCTV cameras are also functional.
We already checked the tower, we already checked the buildings, from the tower to the taxiway, to the ramp, to the terminal. Everything is being safe, no substantial damage.
The assistance desk of airline companies were placed outside the airport, while a desk was placed in the airport for terminal fee refunds. Jean Dayap, who works in Singapore, said she has been flying in and out of the country, but today is her first time to wait for a long time.
Medyo naiinip kasi sobrang init. Tapos wala pa kami. Sobrang init sa gutom. Naku, kagabi pa ako around 11. May kutob na ako kasi wala akong natanggap na notice na sa flight ko, na sa airline na canceled yung So sabi ko, pupunta ako na maaga kasi 10:15 sana ang flight ko this morning. Oo, kagabi pa ako dito. Tapos yun nga, lumindol pa ng konti. So nagtakbuhan na naman kami. Parang yung nervous ko, ano nangyayari?
Janet Valencia, another outbound passenger, arrived early in the Clark International Airport thinking that the operations have resumed. She planned on going to the Ninoy Aquino International Airport or NAIA instead if there were no flights in Clark today.
Siyempre kanina pa kami umaga dito. Sabi naman standby lang tapos inform na lang kung matutuloy yung flight or what. Pero sabi pwede naman na i-rebook na lang yung ticket namin kung gusto namin.
Meanwhile, the Qatar Airlines decided to transfer their flights to the Ninoy Aquino International Airport today. Leslie Widem, UNTV News and Rescue, Pampanga.
In other news, the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines, or NGCP, has fully restored power in earthquake-affected areas, particularly in Luzon and Visayas. The grid was back online after the repair of the Taft-Borongan-Kinapondan 69 kV line in eastern Samar. But the NGCP clarified that if there are still areas in Samar without power supply, this is possibly due to the problems encountered by distribution utilities. The NGCP continues to monitor areas affected by this week's earthquakes, especially in Luzon. Meanwhile, a red alert warning was raised in Luzon earlier because of the thin power reserve in the grid. The red alert warning is in effect from 10 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon and from 6 to 7 in the evening. The NGCP also implemented manual load dropping or rotational brownouts in some parts of Luzon, particularly in the provinces of Nueva Ecija, Quezon, and Camarines Norte, and in Metro Manila. The public is advised to conserve and use electricity wisely to help increase the power supply in Luzon. In other news, the Baguio City local government prepares for the possibility of a strong earthquake hits northern Luzon. Vincent Arboleda will tell us why.
Almost 29 years have passed since the strongest and most devastating earthquake struck the Philippines. As part of the preparation for strong earthquakes, primarily the big one, Baguio City Mayor Mauricio Dumogan said they have made a program for periodic earthquake drills. Several vacant lots in the city have been prepared as evacuation areas, such as the Burnham Park, in case Baguio City is hit by a strong quake or a repeat of the killer earthquake on July 16, 1990. It was 4:26 in the afternoon of that fateful day when one of the most devastating earthquakes struck the country. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, recorded the strength of the earthquake as magnitude 7.8 with the epicenter at the municipality of Rizal in Nueva Ecija.
So from the engineering office, from the Baguio Fire, sa ating kapulisan, mostly mga counterparts din natin na agency. So yun, pinagre-ready namin sila na in case na kailangan tayong mag-activate, anytime mag-activate tayo.
The recorded casualties of the killer earthquake reached 1,600. Majority of them were from the Central Luzon and Cordillera region. Baguio City depicted the face of tragedy due to the scope of damage the city suffered. Mayor Dumogan still recalls how the car he was riding was swayed by that strong earthquake which shocked Philippine history during that time. He witnessed how his colleagues in the law firm ran outside their office. Several minutes after the quake, the Burnham Park was filled with people. Then after a few hours, it became a big tent city. Several buildings collapsed, including the Hyatt Terraces Hotel and Hotel Nevada.
As of now, hindi pa tayo naka-code, though naka-standby naman kasi in-engage namin sila kahapon. So anytime, pag inactivate namin kayo, dapat ready. Prepared sila to respond.
Some local ordinances were also made to mitigate the damages of an earthquake. This include the 4-story limit for buildings. But even this has not been proven to guarantee a building's resilience to earthquake. For now, a 6-floor height limit is being imposed on buildings in the city. But a building's foundation must pass the seismic resistant requirements stated in the National Building Code of the Philippines. Vincent Arboleda, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
And for the news abroad, here's Stephanie C. reporting live from Hong Kong. Stephanie, good evening.
Good evening, William. Sri Lankan authorities are looking into the claim of the Islamic State that they are responsible for Sunday's series of bombings in the country. Kath Maraos will tell us why.
Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said that authorities are making progress in identifying the culprits of the series of bombing attacks, and evidence had been found on foreign links of the attacks. Wickremesinghe said that authorities are looking into the claim by the Islamic State that they are responsible for the Sunday bombing blast that killed more than 300 people and injured over 500 others.
That the ISIS has claimed responsibility. All that we knew earlier was that there were foreign links and that this could not have been done just locally. There has been training given and a coordination which we are not seen earlier. We'll be following up on this claim. There was suspicion that there were links with the ISIS.
The Prime Minister said the security agencies of the country were monitoring those Sri Lankans who had joined IS and returned home. On another statement earlier, the Prime Minister said that the bombings were an act of retaliation for the attacks in Christchurch, New Zealand last month. The series of arrests have been made so far following the Sunday blasts. But the Prime Minister declined to give the exact number, saying that some of the culprits are still on the run. A police spokesperson said that 40 suspects had been arrested over the attacks, while a massive search operation is ongoing to nab more suspects. IS, through its news outlet AMAC, claimed responsibility for the attack. Sri Lankan President Maithripala Sirisena said he would change the heads of the country's defense forces following the failure to prevent the bombings. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
Standby.
Mexico's Interior Foreign Ministry said that around 300,000 migrants have sought to reach the United States through Mexico this year. Ferdy Petalio explains why.
Mexico's Interior Minister Olga Sanchez said that some 300,000 migrants have sought to reach the United States through its territory so far this year.
Se estima que durante los primeros 3 meses de este año,
it's estimated that in the first 3 months of the year, around 300,000 migrants have crossed Mexico to reach the United States in an irregular fashion. Yes, there has been a change in the flow of migrants entering our country on a permanent basis.
que está entrando a nuestro país permanentemente.
U.S. President Donald Trump has made stemming the flow of migrants across the southern border a centerpiece of his administration, likening the situation to a crisis and using that argument to justify his demand to build the wall along the frontier. Trump has repeatedly threatened to close the border during his 2 years in office because of migrant numbers, but has not followed through. But since January, his administration has sent more than 1,000 asylum seekers, mostly from Central America, back to Mexico to wait the months or years it can take to process claims through an overloaded immigration system. Foreign Minister Marcelo Ebrard has denied that Mexico will accept any status that makes it a third-party nation for migrants seeking U.S. asylum.
Throughout all stages of the transition, we will not accept an agreement for being a safe third country. This is Mexico's clear position, and this idea, I don't know who planted it, but we will not accept it. We do not agree on that.
But amidst pressure from Washington, Mexico is backpedaling on promises of better treatment for Central American migrants, leaving hundreds stranded in unsanitary camps near its southern border and allegations of irregular detentions. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador promised more humane treatment for Central American migrants when he took office in December. His left-leaning government issued thousands of year-long humanitarian visas in January, giving migrants legal access to jobs and the right to travel to the United States. However, caught off guard by a surge in arrivals, López Obrador's administration is resorting to old tactics based on tough law enforcement. Mexico has halted the liberal visa policy and ramped up detentions of migrants heading north, government data shows, following criticism from U.S. President Donald Trump of a jump in the number of Central American asylum seekers reaching the United States border in February. Ferdy Petalio, UNTV News and Rescue.
The American Space Agency's InSight lander appears to have detected its first seismic event on Mars. Kath Carriedo will tell us why.
NASA's robotic probe InSight has detected and measured what scientists believe to be a Mars quake, marking the first time a likely seismological tremor has been recorded on another planet. The Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California reported on Tuesday, April 23. The breakthrough came 5 months after InSight, the first spacecraft designed specifically to study the deep interior of a distant world, touched down on the surface of Mars to begin its 2-year seismological mission on the red planet. The faint rumble characterized by JPL scientists as a likely Mars quake was recorded on April 6, the lander's 128th Martian day or so. Scientists are still examining the data to conclusively determine the precise cause of the signal, but the trembling appeared to have originated from inside the planet, as opposed to being caused by forces above the surface, such as wind, JPL said in a news release. The tremor was so faint that a quake of the same magnitude in Southern California would be virtually lost among the dozens of tiny seismological crackles that occur there every day, JPL said. The April 6 rumble on Mars stood out because the surface of the red planet is extremely quiet in comparison with Earth. The size and duration of the Mars quake also fit the profile of some of the thousands of moonquakes detected on the lunar surface between 1969 and 1977 by seismometers installed there by NASA's Apollo missions, said Lori Glaze, Planetary Science Division Director at NASA headquarters in Washington. No estimated Earth magnitude equivalent was immediately given for the apparent Mars quake. 3 other apparent seismic signals were picked up by InSight on March 14, April 10, and April 11, but were even smaller and more ambiguous in origin, leaving scientists less certain they were actual Mars quakes. Kat Carriedo, UNTV News and Rescue, USA.
And those are the news from the other parts of the globe. Back to you, William.
Thank you very much, Stephanie C., reporting live from Hong Kong. Jordanians have their own way to vent their anger and frustration. Kath Dumaraos tells us why.
In an underground room in Amman, a small group of Jordanians vent their anger by destroying old televisions, computers, and printers. In the Axe Rage rooms, people demolish machines with giant hammers and smash plates and glasses by throwing them across a room to help release built-up frustration. According to its general manager, the rooms offer a new experience where people can vent without any negative consequences.
These items are not functioning. We don't break anything of value, but it gives you the feeling of breaking things, the fun part which we all enjoy without the negative outcomes, like the guilt you feel when you break something at home or anywhere else.
So-called rage rooms have opened up around the world, drawing in visitors who want to let their hair down and unleash their anger. Some participants wrote down the issues bothering them most on a blackboard: ex-girlfriends, boss, and all boyfriends.
When I came and tried it, it was great. I felt like I had extra energy. It was a way to channel all the negativity inside. Everything you feel inside, you can release here.
A session of destruction costs $17 or 880 pesos, and customers are given protective suits and helmets to wear. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the reasons behind the news. This April 24, 2019, on behalf of Rina Villamor Camara and Angelo Castro III, I am William Theo. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.